This is a concept that they often call leapfrogging technologies, that you skip past 2 or 3 steps along the technological ladder, so to say, and you go straight for what is the most innovative of your time. And you don't have this legacy infrastructure network, because sometimes it's quite painful to move to the next step because you have already invested heavily in a previous working system that has been spread out across society. So sometimes people are reluctant to take their chances and try something new that is slightly unproven at the moment. So with military, we see this throughout history.
Yes, and also I think technology can have an unexpected effect. I mean, you think of the First World War with the development of essentially recoilless field guns, canned food and barbed wire meant you could leave soldiers in situ for a long time.
Absolutely.
And of course, barbed wire meant that you stopped cavalry movement, which had been a key feature of battles up to that point.
Oh, yes.
And you ended up with this static war where for years 2 sets of people sort of faced each other without any particular movement at all.
Yes, the rise of defensive weapons in the years leading up to the First World War. Now in hindsight, it seems that it should have been obvious to military strategists at the time that this is what a large-scale industrial war as well, because it was really the first time that the full industrial power of peer-to-peer or peer nations would be used against each other. But at that time, people thought it would be a war like any other war that they knew from previous years. Probably mainly thinking about the French-Prussian War of 1870.
Exactly.
But it turned out that it was something completely different. And to be honest, today in Ukraine we see some parallels as well, because even if there has been some movement, for example, the Kherson offensive or the Ukrainian forces retaking Kharkiv in the end of the summer and early fall last year. Since then, we've had, for the last 10 months practically, this Battle of Bakhmut, in which the Russian army has advanced a total of 15 or 20 kilometers over the course of 9 months. And along the other front lines, there is barely any movement at the moment. So we are again seeing a conflict that is slightly similar to the First World War, with very static defensive lines. And now with Ukraine preparing a counteroffensive, there are again all of these speculations in which people are not really sure how it will end up. The Russians have had many months now of building up their defensive lines, but at the same time, the Ukrainians can use another example of a revolution in military affairs. It was an invention that was in direct counter to the defensive strategies of the First World War. Namely, in the lead up to the Second World War, various German strategists that were emphasizing the role of mechanized units with heavy armor being used as an arrow to break through the enemy lines in one point, and then trying to advance as far behind those enemy lines as possible, and using this breach in the defensive line to spread out behind the enemy and trying to encircle them and take as many enemy soldiers captured in these pockets that would be created. I'm here thinking about the blitzkrieg concept that was used very efficiently in the first stage of the Second World War. So there are those that say that Ukraine today, after having received all of this armor and also various special engineering vehicles that you need for that first phase of the offensive, you have these engineering vehicles with various hooks and cranes that can lift obstacles away, such as these dragon teeth defensive lines that the Russians have been using. There are other special tanks that are used to demine these stretches that have been mined, if in case there are some large anti-tank rows or other obstacles that have been dug, then there are these tanks that have basically a movable bridge on top of them that they can unfold, and then other tanks can be used to cross those obstacles. So the Ukrainians have received quite a lot of it, and it's possible that they will be able to breach the enemy lines somewhere.
Adam, alas, the clock in the corner of the studio is calling time on our discussion, so if we'll pick it up next time. There we are. I've had to interrupt Adam almost in mid-sentence, but fear not, if you join us next time on Poland Daily History, as we hope you will, we'll pick up the story. In the meantime, thank you for watching.